We're in Independence, Missouri at the Oak Ridge Memory Gardens looking for a specific man, James Arthur Kinne. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I ran across this story and I found it extremely interesting and wanted to share it with you guys. So, James Arthur Kinne died in March of 1960 at 25 years old. He was actually a murder victim. He was actually murdered by his wife. He was a devout Mormon, had devout Mormon parents, and he attended Brigham Young University before he was employed by Bendix Aviation Corporation in Kansas City. He, I guess, didn't really want to get a divorce from his wife because of his religion, but she was abusive, actually, and then there is the possibility that also she was cheating on her husband with a friend, I guess. And well, she didn't want to get divorced because, well, there was money involved, of course. And so he was actually found with a single gunshot wound to his head while he was taking an afternoon nap. Initially, she stated that her husband had left a gun nearby and was cleaning it, and one of the children accidentally fired the weapon. His death was initially ruled accidental, but then they later changed it when they learned that his wife had attempted to hire someone to murder him. And so then the situation becomes even crazier when on May 27th of 1960, the body of 23-year-old Patricia Jones was found. Apparently, she was the wife of the man that she was cheating with. So, Sharon was Mr. Kinne's wife's name, and she admits that she was the last person to have seen Mrs. Jones, and she was arrested for her murder. Upon further investigation, she was then arrested for James's murder as well. The verdict of the two murder trials was that, well, she ended up being acquitted for Jones's murder because there was only circumstantial evidence. About 5.5 hours after the deliberation by the jury, she was convicted of James's murder. For the murder, she received life in prison and was actually sent to the Women's Reformatory in Tipton, Missouri, which is about in the middle of the state. 10 months after his death, she gave birth to a third child, and about a year and a half, her conviction was actually overturned because of procedural irregularities, releasing her on bond pending a new trial. The second trial was a mistrial related to selection of a jury, as one of the jurors had been a client of one of the prosecutor's law partners. The third trial for his murder was also declared a mistrial after a 2-day deliberation, with an all-male jury being deadlocked 7-5. Once again, she was released on bond. During the trial, it was revealed by the prosecution that she lied about her age. She was not a widow, as stated on her marriage license application, and she had numerous affairs after their marriage. The trials had heavy press coverage. So, while on bond, she fled. She was in a Mexico City hotel, registered under an alias, and she shot and killed a Mexican-born American citizen named Francisco. She claimed self-defense. An employee of the hotel was also shot but lived. During the investigation of the Mexican shootings, it was learned that the .22 caliber firearm was also used to kill Patricia Jones. She was arrested, brought to trial in Mexico, and found guilty, and was sentenced to a total of 13 years in prison in Mexico City. Then, once again, James's murder was headlines in the newspaper. During an electrical blackout at the prison in December of 1969, she escaped, and she remains at large to this very day. No one knows whether she is alive or dead, and she has never served out her prison sentence, and she was never retried because she is gone. And she does still have a warrant. So if you see her, you might want to call the authorities. And here is the grave of Mr. James Arthur Kinne. It's a really sad story, and it's a pretty crazy story. It really is. It's a pretty crazy story. This is a very lovely cemetery. We're not gonna spend any more time here. We just wanted to share the story and show you the grave because, well, we found it interesting. We are in Lincoln Cemetery. I think we're still considered Independence. Yeah, maybe. Missouri, of course. We are here to see the jazz musician Charlie Bird Parker. So if you do not know, Charlie Parker was regarded by many as being the most influential figure in modern jazz. He began his career playing alto saxophone as well as a clarinet, which he didn't like, and he did it for various bands in his native of Kansas City. Group led by pianist Jay McShann. While traveling to an engagement in Lincoln, Nebraska, McShann's bus hit and killed a chicken, prompting Parker to scream at the bus driver to go back there and pick up that yard bird, intending to eat the fowl for dinner. From that point on, Parker acquired the nickname Yard Bird, often shortened to Bird. Unfortunately, following an auto accident while traveling with another band, he acquired something else that would be with him for the rest of his life, and he began an addiction, unfortunately, to narcotics. In 1942, he wanted to find greater success, and he moved to New York City, leaving behind his wife, Addie, in Kansas City. He never legally divorced her, but he did end up with another woman in New York, and I guess called her his wife. He did end up passing away in 1955. He was only 34 years old, and it's very much believed that it probably had something to do with the drugs. Not necessarily like an overdose, but because of the drugs he developed health issues and things. And he was brought back and laid to rest here in Kansas City area with his wife, his actual wife, Addie. Not sure whatever happened to the other lady. Don't know if there was ever any children involved, but there he is. And if you decide you want to come and visit, there is a nice sign at the beginning of the gates up here. He is right next to the road, and there is a marker sign right there.
Wish all of them would do that.
Yeah, I know. It makes them a lot easier to find. But he has a very nice placard. I don't know. What do you call those? It's nice. It's a nice little cemetery. It looks like they got some storm damage. We recently had some storms. You can see some of the city over there. We are here to see Leroy Robert Page. Now, if you are a baseball fan, you will know that this is Satchel Paige. Satchel Paige had quite the baseball history. His career was crazy. He played for so many teams in the Negro League and in Major League Baseball. He ended up playing for the Cleveland Indians and St. Louis Browns, which don't exist anymore. Kansas City Athletics, and then he finally, his last part of his career, he played for the Indianapolis Clowns, and that was the last of the Negro League teams that disbanded in 1967. He played against major league stars such as Joe DiMaggio and Babe Herman. He had quite the career with a record of 2,600 games pitched. He had 300 shutouts and 55 no-hitters. He became the oldest rookie to play in a major league season in 1948 with the Cleveland Indians. He compiled a 6-1 record and a 2.48 ERA. I mean, you could just read on and on about his career. He was, if you know anything about baseball, you have to have heard of Satchel Paige. Oh, yeah, that probably blew off. We've had some crazy storms the last day or so, and lots of wind. Buried next to his wife. Looks like she passed away about 4 years after him. Oh yeah, there's some crazy storm damage over there. We have a couple of other people we're hoping to find in the cemetery here. Did I say this was?
I think you said it was
Forest Hill. Forest Hill / Calvary. So it's like 2 cemeteries in one. Yeah, it's big. Okay, we are still in the Forest Hill Cemetery. And this time we're going to see another baseball legend. Buck O'Neil is kind of like I guess just like a Kansas City hero legend kind of baseball player. He led the Negro National League with a .353 batting average in 1946 and hit a .333 with 2 home runs in the Black World Series. He was a manager, first baseman, played for several different teams. And then he was actually officially recognized as the first black coach ever hired by a Major League Baseball team, and that was when he was signed by the Chicago Cubs in 1962. He was actually a native of Florida, but he is buried here in Kansas City, and he's a Kansas City legend.
Even the Royals have a Buck O'Neil seat.
Yep, they do. And I think they do specific little Buck O'Neil things. I don't think I have the bobblehead, but I know they do a bobblehead day, or they did do a bobblehead day where they give away Buck O'Neil stuff, and it's nice. It's a very, very nice tombstone. I like it. It's pretty easy to find too, which is nice. This one is actually right behind the cemetery office. We have one more person we are hoping to find in here. We'll see. Okay, we found our last one. This is Catherine Brosnahan, better known as Kate Spade. Kate Spade is the fashion designer, businesswoman, who was the former founder and co-owner of the designer brand Kate Spade, New York. She built the company up with her husband, Andy, founded the business in '93. You know, some of you probably have some of her handbags. She, unfortunately, my understanding is, suffered from severe depression and ultimately ended her own life in 2018. I would assume these are her parents that she's buried with. Not for sure why she's not buried under her name, Spade. That was her husband's name. We're not for sure about that. We don't know the details on that. Suppose maybe they could have been divorced, but I didn't find that, so I don't know. Well, hope you enjoyed those little cemetery stops. We just kind of were, I guess, killing some time. while we were waiting to meet up with our daughter, and we decided to knock some of these things off of our list while we're up here in Kansas City. And we have actually a pretty extensive list of famous people that are buried here in the Kansas City area, and we only did maybe half of it today. So we will do the rest in another video. We hope you enjoy these stops because we like doing it. It's something we just, I don't know, we just enjoy it. We enjoy the cemetery thing. It's, yeah, and it's just kind of neat to pay respects to people that are famous and have done awesome things and stuff. So we will see you on the next one.